Hello YouTube, welcome back to another edition of ManCave Astronomy. Today did something pretty cool, just figured I'd make a video and share it with you. In my trials and tribulations, for those of you that have watched most of the videos, you can see we've got our scope set up, we got our 10-inch on, we've got all 30 pounds of counterweight put on, and one of the things I kept running into with the mount and basically the setup is the 30 pounds of counterweight and roughly the 30 pounds the telescope weighs on the mount, even though it was balanced out really well, we weren't supplying enough power to keep everything kind of going. Basically what was going on when we slew the scope in declination and right extension, the motors were drawing so much power to try to move the scope that I think it was messing up basically the telemetry of the scope. It was lose tracking. It didn't have enough power supply, and part of that was because for one, when I bought this telescope, it come with the little it was like a 8-pack battery tray thing that you had to buy D-size batteries, which was fairly expensive to power the scope. It didn't come with a wall plug-in or a cigarette lighter adapter or anything else like that. So basically the only thing that I had here was this universal AC adapter that has 12 volts, but it only would output about 600 milliamps, which is basically about a half, I don't even know that it's a half amp. 600 milliamps is definitely not very much. You could power up the hand controller, but when you started moving the scope and using both motors, you'd see the red LEDs in or I don't even think they're LEDs, but whatever, the red lighting in the hand controller, you'd see it start kind of flash and go dim, and I think the power draw on those motors was actually causing the alignment to go off when we would slew to different stars and do different things. So I've been thinking and looking and doing a lot of researching on a good way to power up this mount substantially enough to be able to provide enough amps. 12 volts is 12 volts, but if you don't have enough ampage, it doesn't matter what your voltage is, you don't have enough power to actually work. So I've been doing a lot of looking on eBay and different things, and there's some aftermarket power adapters for wall plug-ins, and there's an aftermarket cigarette lighter plug-in, and of course, which is based off of what do you have to plug a cigarette lighter into. My situation here, we take the scope, we set it up right outside in the backyard on the concrete patio. You guys have seen my setup out there, and I'm not going to pull the truck around to plug into the cigarette lighter because I'm in my backyard, for one. Two, I've got a wall plug-in, an outdoor electrical plug-in right outside, probably 12 foot away, and ultimately that's as long as I pay my power bill, that's a continuous power source. I don't ever have to worry about it. So I was kind of caught between how do I get what method can I use effectively to transform AC power into a 12 volt DC. Around 5 amps is about the most that this mount will draw, is about a 5 amp pull. I've tested this out a little bit, and really the only thing about as much as I've seen is about a 2.5 amp draw. I think the 5 amp range is a little high. I think pretty much maxed out. If your tube is off balance, you're probably only looking at about a 2.5, maybe 3 amp draw, and most of the aftermarket and even the ones, the plugins, the AC adapter plugins that Meade sells are only about 3.5 amps. So anyway, so I researched all that, and I've seen a lot of different power adapters, or they call them power switches, that you can switch AC over to DC, and they got all kinds of ampage and voltages and everything else like that. This, I think, is pretty much a temporary setup for now, that I've got. I'm getting ready to show you, and it was pretty easy to do. I tried the scope out. It slews really well. I don't see any lack of power now. So hopefully that's going to cure some of my power problems, and this thing's really going to perform now a lot better. So basically what I did was I took a battery charger that I had, just a regular battery charger, nothing real fancy. It can do 6 volt, 12 volt, and it can do 2 amp and 6 amp outputs. So that pretty much solved my AC to DC problem, because you plug it right in, and it converts AC to DC, and it's just a cheap battery charger. One of the nice things is it does have an amp gauge on it, so I can see what kind of ampage I'm running while I'm slewing this thing around. So I did have to modify the the battery pack that come with my telescope. I took and cut the cable off here. And a little side note to that, the nice thing is this is an actual Meade made product. So if in case any of you were wondering, the tip on the plug-in has to be positive, tip positive. And I got a chance to look at how this was wired up, and basically if you look at the actual cord, I'll show you this real quick. If you can see this, the cord has a white dash line on one side. One of the cables, one of the wires in the loom here, have white dashes all the way down it. The other one's solid black. Well, the white dash is your positive cable side. So just remember, white dash means positive, black is ground. And as long as you keep that in mind, you won't have to worry about crossing polarities, getting your positive and your negative switch. So the first thing I did was my battery charger. I'm getting ready to get the camera off the stand here, and I'll show you all this good stuff. But one thing that I did was your battery charger, you basically just cut the alligator clips off, the heavy duty alligator clips, just cut them. We can splice these back on later, so if you want to turn this back into a battery charger later, you can just splice these back in, no big deal. This, of course, cut your cable off the end of it that comes on it. Your power cell here, just cut your cable, leave you about 1 inch or so sticking out in case you ever want to splice it back together. But I will tell you, after about a week or 5 to 7 days, I did a little bit of the math on it, about 5 to 7 days of burning through the old D-cell batteries here, you can buy a battery charger. So this is a little more cost-effective way. And you don't have to worry about your batteries running out on you in the middle of a doing some astrophotography, or just a good night out. You really, conditions are perfect, and you're out looking. You don't have to worry about 2 o'clock in the morning. You're out there. Your 8 D-cell batteries go dead. So I had to take a pause for the cause here, folks. Had to get a sip of the old brew. But anyway, the battery charger, once you cut the ends off of the battery charger leads, basically from there, let me get the camera out so I can show you guys all this cool stuff. Basically what you do is when you clip off the ends, you're left with, your end here, and it's marked, you know, red is positive, you know, black is negative. Not all battery chargers probably have that, but you know, this one did, and you know, it's a good deal. Basically all you do is just clip off your alligator clips, and I've already did this to make sure it worked. And if you're anything like me, I usually pull the alligator clips about a foot apart down the deal here, and it pulls the deal. That's why you see the zip ties. I just kind of pulled the wiring back together so it doesn't get all loose and oblong and tangled up and stuff. So that's what you're seeing there. And then here I have spliced in, used bare butt splices you can pick up at like Radio Shack or wherever. I use bare so I can put some really nice good thick heat shrink on it. This is actually dual layered heat shrink. I took a small, a very fine, tight fit heat shrink and put that on first, and I took a larger piece and did a double layer of heat shrink. And the reason I did that was because if you need to use all 6 amps that the battery charger can pull out, you don't want anything really thin in between, right there where you've cut and spliced these together. So that's kind of the reason behind it. I don't really like the size and the gauge of this power lead. I'm gonna do something with that here before too long. I'm gonna buy a heavier gauge wire with the same connector on the end. So so this is all temporary. You know, it's all nice and done up, but you know, it's very easy to just cut this back all loose and readjust and redo if need be. But for the time being, it really works well. So that's basically what I did on that part of it. And you can see here, it just comes off, and the battery, you know, this is what's left of the wire that I cut off of the battery cell pack. And it's made by Meade, so you don't have to worry about the tip not fitting just right. You know, it works good. From my understanding, most all of the LXD, Meade sent these little magnetic, they help the signals and stuff in the power cord, you know, running through. So they smooth them out so you get a little more steady, you know, signal through the power. And I would advise probably putting that back on, just because of what we're using the battery charger, and any other kind of a power source that you use that's DC. You probably need to have this magnetic signal smoother thingy. I don't know what you really call it, but you probably want to put that back on. It probably wouldn't hurt. So anyway, that's what we did. You know, I'm gonna plug it in here. We got it plugged in. I like to take, actually I'm going to plug it in the way it's supposed to be. Whoop. I like to take and run it up through one of the eyepiece holes here. Go over top of go underneath your coil cables, plug it in, and then pull this back down and just make a loop around your azimuth control knob. And just like that, so it's nice and tucked in out of the way. You can see it there. It's kind of out of the way, and your coil cables will just mangle themselves in that, and it's all nice out of the way. You don't have to worry about your counterweights hitting it or anything else. So, and this is my battery charger here. You can see it's just a 2 amp manual battery charger by Dayton. You know, about 30-40 bucks maybe, at the most. You can probably pick one up cheaper than that if you shop around a little bit, and that's really all you need. Just something that's 12 volt, 2 or 6 amp. You know, really the really nice thing about this is later on, if this is what you want to primarily use, it's very easy to use. It does have circuit breakers already built into it, or overload protection. If you get over 2 amps, this thing snaps off. So, you know, we are circuit protected, you know, and you don't have to worry about, as far as the circuitry and everything else, you know, using it outside. This thing is, you know, grounded, plugged. It is an actual product that is
is ready to go. So the only thing you have to do is, like I showed you earlier, is just snip the alligator clips off and wire it in. You know, just some basic electrical skills, and you're up and running. So so that's it. You know, really, that's our new power source. So I'm gonna probably do some little changes and different stuff to it, and I'll make a few videos later on any changes that I do to just kind of give you some ideas. I'm gonna probably end up putting some cigarette lighter plugs onto this thing and do it outright, you know. So anyway, I'll show you how this thing works. We're gonna power up our mount. Just clip it on. You heard the buzz. And I am going to pause this for just a second and change my video camera over to a different setting so y'all can read the display, and we'll slew this thing around a little bit and let y'all watch how this thing works. Alright, now we're back. Now that I got my camera switched over so you guys can read the display here on my AutoStar hand controller. Basically this is just your usual menu. Press 0 to align, or mode for menu. We're going to hit mode. We're going to go to menu. Just enter. We're inside, doesn't really matter. So we're just going to go on ahead and get to we're going to go ahead and just do an easy alignment, let the scope do its thing, and let you guys watch the scope slew, and let you hear the drive motors. I think there's a really big difference in the drive motors here. So now it's selecting. You see it's double motoring now, and you see there's no flickering in the control handle. There's, you know, just plenty of power there, and you know, it just a world of difference here. One thing I did want to show, I don't know if you guys ever really seen the little bracket that I made to go on my actual main telescope mount rings. I made this little bracket here so I can put my viewfinder on there, and I got that all nice and somewhat centered up. I need to get out during the daytime and actually really dial it in. But all right, anyway, a little side note there. So anyway, we've you know, if we were outside, we'd center up on Vega, make sure Vega was in the deal. I'm gonna use the arrow buttons here a little bit. I'm gonna ramp this thing all the way out to speed 10 or whatever, the max setting. Excuse me. Yeah, it won't let me do it. There we go. Alright, max speed. And then you can see this thing just, I'm gonna hit 2 slew directions. And you can see there's just no issue with this thing moving. So anyway, now that we're centered back up on supposedly Vega, we're just gonna let it think that for the time being. We're gonna hit enter, and then it's gonna go to the second star. It's selecting the star. There you go. I mean, you guys can see it's 100% better. Absolutely no doubt. And I think this is gonna really get us where we want to be, and really solve some of our issues as far as lower power, you know, and give you guys some options as far as making a good steady power source that's pretty cheap, you know, and gives you some more options. Because like I said, that battery charger, it doesn't matter what you hook to it, as long as you can feed it, or you know, whatever you hook to, you're feeding the proper amount of amps, it's going to run like it's supposed to. So we're going to hit enter, and it's calculating. I'm probably way off of the pole, less than 5% from the pole. Imagine that. So anyway, alignment successful. So but you guys can see this thing is just And I'm doing 2 slew buttons at the same time, and this thing is just getting it. You can see we're getting pretty far out here. As you guys can see there, I'm just barely touching 2 amps. I mean, that's, you know, that's phenomenal. Tickled to death. She's pulling it there though. 2.5, almost 3. Now you can see we're getting back more into center, so. Alright, now. The other thing, I'm curious now. The other thing this battery charger has is a 6 amp setting. I'm on 2 now. 12 volt 2 amp, so let's go to the 6 amp setting. And let's see if that thing bogs back down again. Oh yeah, listen to it now. Careful, it'll hit. Wow, what a world of difference that is too on the 6 amp. So, we're just checking the different speed functions here. That's 1 arc second here. I'm just curious, I'm gonna cut it back to 2. When I flipped it back to 2, it when you go back, it resets power. So I have to remember that. But wow, that 6 amp, it definitely puts the juice to it. And I seen a couple spikes on there, you know, I kind of flipped it down there where you guys were get a look at the deal, and I seen it touching 3 almost. So you know, the nice thing about DC is it only uses what it needs and it doesn't worry about the rest. So which 2 is definitely 2 is definitely quick as far as ampage goes. The thing I don't like about it is when I go to the real far side slews, you know, you can hear a definite big pitch change. This is back to 1 arc second. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave it at, it's 1.5 arc second there, and then 9 is of course back to max. You can hear the motor's got plenty of juice. It's definitely not bogging it down, and I'm only using right about 3 amps. About 2 amps actually. And that thing is moving. Whoop. Pulled the remote out of my hand. Well, YouTubers, that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to call this one a done video. Only time will tell. As far as how the motors are going to do, how they're going to last. But I think we're okay as far as running that high ampage. I'm gonna line up my deals here. Put it back in the park position. And I'm gonna tell y'all, this thing will move. So, I think all in all, I think we're on to something here. I think definitely the 6 amp is the preferred method. Like I said, it's DC, so it only uses what current is available and what it has to have. So, you know, by us having 6 amps on, it's only used if it's needed. So, you know, and this thing will pull, you know, we've seen almost 3.5 maybe amps. So, you know, it definitely needs to be higher than 2, especially if you're going to plug anything else into this battery charger. It definitely is going to have to be higher ampage. You know, the 6 amp I can probably run a dew control and still have enough power running the dew control with the slew, as long as I don't go crazy on the max, which I don't ever really go for max, you know, just slew from star to star. But anyway, just figured you guys might like to check that out. It's pretty cheap, and well, ain't nothing in this hobby cheap, but it's a pretty easy way to get you a good reliable power source that you know, you guys can use and not have to keep worrying about the batteries. Or if you got a power pack, you don't have to keep worried about your power pack. And I can tell you this, I bought that battery charger isn't much more than what an actual plug-in battery AC battery adapter is for this telescope. And the nice thing about it is I can break that out into you know, to use for several different things, where your $30 wall AC plug-in is only dedicated for the scope. So, you know, there's a little more dual functionality as far as the battery charger method goes. But, you know, like I said, this is just kind of a temporary deal. I'll probably come up with something a little more slicker here before long. So, but if you guys, you know, like I said, it works really good. And if you guys are just needing something to power up your scope that you were in kind of a situation I was, where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, that's a good, easy way to do it. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for the comments, and as always, happy trails.